This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, a public effort to reduce the chance of vegetation fire could end up costing the DCC $10,000. We take a look at the new approach that's being taken to encourage better eating habits. And changes for the Octagon as plane tree stumps are removed to make way for seating. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Rebecca Dupree. A one-day amnesty on green waste is set to cost the Dunedin City Council about $10,000. Residents were invited to dispose of green waste for a gold coin donation on Sunday in an effort to reduce fire fuel. But that's not the only benefit to come from the initiative.
Turning excess vegetation into compost. Almost 300 tonnes of green waste was dropped off at the Green Island landfill on Sunday. About 1,000 residents took advantage of the opportunity to dispose of weeds and other plant matter for a gold coin donation.
Following the Saddle Hill fire, the Rural Fire Authority were concerned about the amount of fuel that might be building up around people's houses, and they approached us and a number of councils across Otago to see whether we would consider doing a free green waste day over the Labour weekend to encourage people to create a safe barrier around their houses without any fuel to fuel a fire.
It's believed to be the first time a green waste amnesty's been held in Dunedin. Normally over Labour weekend, residents drop off 60 to 80 tonnes of vegetation at landfill, with each carload costing about $80, and that's been tripled in just one day.
We knew this would be popular, but we weren't able to get the advertising out very early, so we really didn't know how many people we would get, and we had over 1,000 loads come in, and we estimate that was about 270 tonnes.
The council estimates it'll cost about $10,000 to process the waste, with some being turned into compost and the rest going into landfill. Almost $3,000 was collected in gold coin donations, and all that money's going to the Walkery Volunteer Fire Brigade. Now the council's deciding whether the amnesty's worth repeating.
The volume that we had and the number of people coming in did cause some traffic problems. So if we were going to look at it again, we'd have to look at how we managed all of those things and whether or not the cost to council versus the benefit to the community weighs up.
No one wants a repeat of the Saddle Hill fire, which tore through residential properties. And with a hot, dry summer forecast, authorities are hoping the citywide green waste clean-up makes all the difference. Rosie Mannins, 39 Dunedin News.
A decision has been made in regards to the future of Otago Polytechnic courses being run in Dunedin. All programs run through the local campus will be transferred to Otago Polytechnic, along with buildings and resources. Staff will also be transferred from the start of next year. Otago has about 24 staff in Dunedin and about 160 students. Numbers vary each year depending on enrolments. Otago Polytechnic will deliver courses based on demand. Programs which could be transferred include early childhood education, journalism and massage therapy. The move comes as Otago plans to merge with the Christchurch Polytechnic Institute of Technology. The government's latest food and nutrition guidelines are getting the thumbs up from local health professionals. Many of the eating recommendations are commonplace, but experts say reinforcing them is a positive step, and the advice comes with a new approach.
Promoting dietary discipline. Every few years, the Ministry of Health updates its food and nutrition guidelines, keeping up with the rapidly changing field. But for the first time, the guidelines are being combined with physical activity advice, which is impressing local health experts.
I think this is a really good one because they've made them quite a lot more user-friendly. I think they've made them quite a lot more descriptive for people and just a lot more informative so that they have a much better idea of how to eat healthily.
One key message in the new guidelines is that there's no need to restrict overall carbohydrate consumption. People are instead being encouraged to choose healthier, less processed options. and food manufacturers are expected to adapt to changing demand.
I think it's actually a really good challenge for industry now to actually try and come up with even more products that actually meet the food and nutrition guidelines, given that the vast majority of the products they produce now are really in those centre aisles and not around the outside.
The latest nutrition advice is mostly for adults, but adds to the government's new scheme for reducing childhood obesity. Researchers say countering unhealthy habits will be a challenge.
Unless we make it easier for people to follow these guidelines by, changing food advertising, maybe taxation, all those much controversial environmental issues, it actually probably isn't going to make a huge dent for people because it can be hard to eat healthily with those other barriers.
She has some reservations but says the guidelines are a step in the right direction. They're providing the public with a definitive set of eating principles. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Police are searching for an underwear thief after 16 pairs of women's panties were stolen from inside a Cargill Street flat. The female occupants realised their underwear was missing, along with several bottles of perfume, earlier this week. They're not sure when the theft occurred, but suspect a burglar used scaffolding around the flat to gain entry through a window. Police are also investigating the theft of 2 full sets of scuba diving gear from a Mulford Street house yesterday afternoon. The equipment includes wetsuits, boots and buoyancy vests and is estimated to be worth several $1,000s. The Octagon is being prepared for new public seating to replace historic trees removed earlier this year. City Council contractors have taken out tree stumps to make way for $15,000 worth of bench chairs, and more work is being planned.
Renovating the city's heart. Contractors are laying grass to cover recently removed tree stumps from the Octagon. It follows a January felling of 2 large plane trees, each about 130 years old.
The stump grind was done last evening, so that was over the space of 2 to 3 hours, and then contractors have been back on site this morning establishing the grass, so that will be all completed by the end of today.
The council's working on a long-term plan to upgrade the Octagon as well as other parts of the central city. That's still a wee way off, and staff decided to remove tree stumps to allow for more public space in the meantime. It's one upside to the plight of some of the Octagon's iconic trees.
They were removed due to failing health of those trees and long-term concern around health and safety, so those trees were removed, so the stumps relate to those trees that were felled recently.
The council considered different options and chose extra seating over more vacant green space. Contractors are planning to be finished by the end of the day, so the next and final stage of the project can begin.
There will be 3 seats installed in the Octagon. That'll be for the benefit of obviously the general public, but also the seats located closest to George Street will be usable for the tourists that are on the buses.
The chairs are expected to be installed in the Octagon by the end of November. They'll provide more opportunities for locals and visitors alike to enjoy the outdoors while in the CBD. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, protesters gear up for another couple of rounds against the TPPA. A city kindergarten sets its sights on a win, and we get your thoughts on taxing sugary drinks.
Bring some more joy into your world by adopting one of our adult animals at SPCA Otago. Call now on 473 8252. Please adopt a pet now, they will love you forever.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
McClellan Refrigeration is your one-stop shop for heat pumps in Dunedin. We have a range of heating, air conditioning and refrigeration solutions. We also have 20 years experience. McClellan Refrigeration, call us on 477 0088.
At your locally owned and operated Veggie Boys store, we've got fresh produce daily, fruit, veggies and more. Competitive prices are just one of the reasons people come to us in all seasons. Convenient locations and friendly crew, Veggie Boys Dunedin, come try something new. Stores in the north, the south, be our guest, Centre City as well to serve you the best. Daily specials on produce that are hard to beat, all tasty and healthy and all good to eat. Don't forget we've also got your milk, bread and meat. Veggie Boys Dunedin, you're guaranteed a treat.
Hedges are something we almost take for granted. A good hedge needs regular maintenance to look its best and to add value. Team at SGC 453.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
This year's Oamaru Heritage Festival's theme is Alice in Wonderland, celebrating the sesquicentennial of its writing. Join us in Oamaru November 11th to 16th. See www.vhcu.co.nz for details. And don't be late for this very important date.
Grandad loved his family and surfing, in that order. He taught me to surf, and we spent a lot of time in the water together over the years. When he died, I strapped the camera to the nose of his old board and filmed the paddle out at St. Clair. Gillian's played the video on the big screen at his funeral. Grandad would have loved having everyone come out one last surf with him.
Gillian's Funeral Services, helping families celebrate the lives of their loved ones for generations. Gillians.co.nz.
Big Orange, for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
Congratulations, you're getting married. Hi, I'm James Morris, wedding celebrant, and it's my privilege and a pleasure to bring you the perfect ceremony for your perfect day. Don't wait or contemplate. Your consultation is free with no obligation. jamesmorris.co.nz.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Welcome back. The business behind a George Street clothing and equipment store has been placed in liquidation. Boardbase Limited is the trading company of surf and skate shop Boardbase. It was founded in 2000 by sole director Paul Harrison of Dunedin. The company was formally placed in liquidation a week ago following a store-wide closing down sale. Creditors have until the start of December to stake their claims. And on that note, let's take a look at today's financials. The NZX 50 has closed the day down 2 points. It's now at 5,999. The FTSE is down 52 points. And to the exchange rates, the Kiwi dollar is up against the Australian, but we are trending down against the other currencies that we follow. Some locals are pushing for parliamentary debate on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is yet to be ratified. Jen Olsen is organising 2 associated protests in the city, and she joins us to talk about the cause. Good evening, Jen.
Good evening.
What have you asked City Council to do?
Well, I've asked them to express the concern of the Dunedin people to Minister Tim Grosser and the Department of Trade and Foreign Affairs over the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And I've asked them to request a full parliamentary debate on the issue.
How do you think that'll make a difference?
Well, I think that it will actually give chance for people to debate the issue, to understand it, and for more information to come out.
Do councillors seem receptive?
Well, I think so. I mean, they will obviously have to talk about whether that is appropriate for the council, but they have accepted the 12-point policy solution on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which happened this time last year. So I've asked that they actually stand by that, because we now know enough about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the details, to know that that 12-point resolution will not be adhered to.
When are politicians expected to talk about this agreement next?
Well, this is the whole point really, is it doesn't get debated in Parliament. The Trans-Pacific Partnership goes to Cabinet for assent, and so there's not actually going to be a public debate on it.
Is there much local opposition to the trade agreement?
There is. Yeah, and that continues. It's still not too late, we believe, for the government to say no.
What is the link between the TPP and climate change?
Well, in order for climate change, in order for there to be action on climate change, governments need to pass legislation that limits the activities causing climate change. Now the TPP will make that much more difficult because it gives the big corporations the right to challenge government restrictions which affect their profits. So thereby making it more difficult for governments to do things that will mitigate the effects of climate change. We know we can't rely on the big corporations to do this for themselves. This is why we're talking about this at all. And so therefore the Trans-Pacific Partnership is actually a step backwards in terms of managing climate change.
You've got a couple of protests coming up, so how will that address the issue?
Well, the idea of the protests is to draw the attention of governments of the world to the fact that the people really want action on climate change. The big corporations might oppose it, but people want government action, and we'd like our government to go to the Paris talks really committed to significant action on climate change. We'd like to see New Zealand leading that. And that's what the march is all about. This is about people telling governments that we want them to do something, and we want them to do something now.
What's the ideal outcome for you here?
Well, it is that our government commits to a really significant action. I mean, we feel that at the moment they have not done that. I mean, in order to limit climate change to the 2 degrees increase in global temperature that scientists believe will limit the damage, we need to look at actually becoming carbon-free by 2050. That is a big ask, I know, but we want to see really significant steps towards that, and we'd like to see New Zealand taking a lead in that and really committing to significant action.
TPP and climate change activist Jen Olsen, good luck with the protests this weekend. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, competition heats up at a local kindergarten, and we get your thoughts on taxing sugary drinks.
Sir Bob Charles, New Zealand's greatest golfer and still going strong.
I'm sure that Sportsville was a contributing factor to my success, and I'll continue to use it.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville, a product so good he puts his name to it.
Well, I believe Sportsville helps maintain your quality of life.
Now being used by active men and women globally to support strength and mobility.
It works for me.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville in the new all-black pack. Call now for the Sportsville special, 0800 502 402.
She's 21 metres long with a 6.7 metre beam. She can support diving, seafloor mapping and sampling, deep water measurements, and has onboard laboratories. She has a range of 1,000 nautical miles, which means the Polaris 2 can take your studies further than you ever thought possible. My name's Will Raymond, and this is My Place in the World.
Take your place in the world.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Mosgiel Mowers Plus can help you with products to make your garden maintenance jobs easier. Lawn mowers, ride-ons, chainsaws, line trimmers. Sales and service are our specialty. Mosgiel Mowers Plus. Phone 489 3572 22B Gordon Road, Mosgiel.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's Oat Singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's Oat Singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's Oat Singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
Mobility Scooters Otago. Mobility Scooters, new and used, electric manual wheelchairs, strollers and walkers. Free home demonstration and delivery. Call Tony on 03 455 2875 or visit our showroom, 211 King Edward Street, opposite Westpac.
Pallet fires are growing in popularity in Otago, with people who want a clean and efficient form of home heating. The sight of a burning flame without the problems of chopping, stacking and carting wood around is a winner. Pallet fires, so easy, so efficient.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Welcome back. Local preschoolers are growing flowers as part of a nationwide gardening competition. It's all about teaching young children how to care for plants, and one Dunedin kindergarten is aiming for a third consecutive win.
Measuring months of growth. These kids at Mornington Kindergarten are among almost 13,000 budding gardeners taking part in a national sunflower growing competition. The project is in its third year. It's designed to grow children's independence and responsibility as they learn to take care of plants.
They love the gardening, and they take ownership of watering them, as you see in the background, and look around every morning, even the family themselves. And they stay there and look around the garden and say, we're going to have to do this at home.
Staff say the kindy kids are beginning to understand the concept of teamwork while growing their sunflowers as tall as possible. Mornington Kindergarten has twice won the title of Best Sunflowers in Otago. It's a feat staff and children are hoping to repeat.
We'd like to have another win, but mostly because it just provides us when we win, we get all the products from Dalton's and then we put it back into the garden again, so the children just redo it.
The children water the plants each day while measuring growth. It's not the first time they've had experience with gardening. The kindergarten boasts all kinds of plants which children have tended to over the years.
They really enjoy it, and we've always done the flower gardens around the place as well with the vegetables and talked about how it's a correlation, so that you put the marigolds around by the vegetables and that helps with the pests.
All participating kindergartens around the country have just over a month left of growing time. The winner will receive a gardening workshop with a top landscape designer. But for these budding gardeners, the real prize will be the gold at the top of a stem. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Local researchers and health experts are welcoming steps by the government to address the country's growing problem with obesity. But they say a tax on sugary drinks is one thing politicians should also enforce. And with that in mind, our Word on the Street team asked members of the public if they think junk food should be made more expensive to help curb obesity.
I think that it should be more education than putting prices up. Then, and maybe a wee bit, but more education, letting people know what sort of effect junk food does have on people.
But I myself, I never buy junk food. But the reason why is it is too commercialized, and also it's not my taste.
The people shouldn't afford this. Then they will be less encouraged to buy junk food.
Help make available healthy foods around in residential and public areas. Yeah.
I reckon there shouldn't be more expense. I reckon there should be more control, because more control be easier for the junk food. Don't have to ingest as many junk food, and people wouldn't really touch because it's so expensive.
I think it certainly should be proportionate to healthy food. I think healthier food should be cheaper than junk food. I think, it shouldn't be a question of affordability if you want to eat healthily.
They should be cost bit more and make the vegetable a lot more cheaper.
Like stuff like potato chips and things like that, I think they should be more harder to buy because they're too easily available.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. Tons of green waste has been disposed of during a one-day amnesty to reduce fire fuel in the city. Local health experts are praising the government's new eating guidelines, but say changing unhealthy habits will be tricky. And contractors for the City Council have removed old tree stumps from the octagon to make way for new public bench seating. And what's going to be in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times, and Bruce Query joins us. Good evening.
Good evening, Rebecca. Maintenance and trade staff were issued with full-face asbestos protective gear up to 6 weeks ago. Questions are now being asked at the Southern District Health Board about why they were supplied then. There were revelations about asbestos at the hospital only came to our attention a week ago. Otago Civil Defence Emergency Management. It's been described as a sports team with 6 owners and no captain. A report says that there's not enough funding, it's disconnected silo thinking, and it's inadequately coordinated. Cute picture alert on the front page of your ODT tomorrow. On the Southern Motorway today there was a bit of drama. 6 runaway ducklings died with death and police had to be called.
Oh.
Tony Childs, remember her from the 90s? Yeah, well, the Grammy award-winning American singer-songwriter now teaches yoga and meditation. She was here in Dunedin today. And finally in sport, how's this for a good break? A young 10-year-old from Fairfield is on his way to London to West Ham United to train at a football academy.
How old did you say? 10?
10.
Wow, that is impressive. Read all about that in tomorrow's ODT. Thank you, Bruce. Time now for local weather.
Weather update is proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorn's Puff Plus.
Here is today's city view. It's taken of 2 women walking some dogs, possibly oversized cats. My cat's bigger than those dogs. Around the city at 3 o'clock today, 12 degrees for the central city. My cat would eat those dogs. 16 for the gardens and 14 for the Tyree. To the situation, and a cool southwest airflow will blow over New Zealand this week. To the forecast for some of the main towns in the lower South Island for tomorrow. Southwesters with showers clearing for Invercargill and Gore. A bit of cloud around for Tiana with southwest winds there, and southerlies for Alexandra, but becoming fine with a high of 12. Southerlies easing and rain clearing in Queenstown. Southerlies and rain all day for Oamaru. Becoming fine in Wanaka, but the southerlies will remain, and the rain will clear in Twizel with southerly winds, a high of 10. In Dunedin tonight, a period of showers and cold winds, would you believe? 7 degrees is the forecast low. Showers clearing tomorrow, sunny periods increasing with southerlies dying out and a high of 10. On Friday, fine and sunny with cool southwesters and a high of 13. Finally, to the Otago Pellet Fire's tidal and fishing information. Low tide tomorrow afternoon is at 12:30. High tide follows at 6:05. And fishing conditions are expected to be a little bit unpleasant tomorrow, although having your line in the water at around 3 p.m. may yield some results for tea. And we have one small correction to make. The TPP and climate change protests are not being held this weekend. They are being held in November. And that is local news for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good evening.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.